marriage in crisis. OpenAI and Microsoft are currently still battling it out over the future of AI, and we're going to talk about it today. Our opinion, our thoughts. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Julius. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we thought about this topic, I think, last week. I mean, there's obviously been news the entire year about the marriage of OpenAI and Microsoft kind of fizzling or under the covers of lawyers. There's a battle going on maybe. But we actually thought about it because we experienced Copilot being so badly integrated and just so badly performing that
Horrible.
We thought, what's going on here? Because the core OpenAI models are so strong, we use them every day, but in Copilot, somehow it's just not working.
I think there is definitely no full parity of interest between Microsoft and OpenAI. That's quite obvious.
Yeah.
Which can be a neck breaker if you ask me, because I think that Google has a brilliant integration. When you look at the integration of Gemini in Google Sheets at the moment, and you compare it to Copilot with Excel, it's it's not comparable. I mean, and I think Copilot at the moment is not even able to really work as an agent within Excel. It's just prompting you some formulas that you can copy paste. So that's basically GPT.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? Probably has multiple reasons. My first guess would be that it's just cheaper models, so maybe like a GPT-4 running in the background for cost reasons. Is it because Microsoft is maybe just has super slow release cycles because they need to only ship products that are reliable, and like nuclear power stations are running on Excel. You can't just ship this fancy AI product if you're Microsoft. What do you think is the one of the reasons maybe?
I think the main reason is that when you just, why is there no parity of interest between OpenAI and ChatGPT? Let's look at Google first to compare their situation. Let's start with Google Workspace, because we can later on also talk about the search and the AI overviews. But let's just take Google Workspace, because I think it's a brilliant sketch of what we currently see. Google has the goal to deliver a first-class solution that helps their customers to work efficiently and to collaborate efficiently. And when you just look at Excel, it's Google Sheets then, or Google Pay, what's it called? The Pay, Google Docs.
Yeah.
You just look at these tools. For Google, it doesn't really matter if you use Gemini or if you use the old front end to work. So you can prompt everything like a lovable app, and it fully builds the application. And for Google, it doesn't really matter, because either you're using the future, which is the Gemini on the side, and it works for you, or you're using the past, which is the old system, or you're just jumping between this. And now let's look at Excel. As a user, you have to decide whether you use Copilot, which is basically ChatGPT, so you're using actually not a Microsoft solution. I mean, Microsoft is a shareholder, of course, but they are not. They don't have the majority of OpenAI. As far as I know, they don't even have more than 20%. I think it's not really a large share they have, but I'm not fully sure about that. But I know that it's not a majority. So when you ask yourself how is value created within Excel, and as a user you could use Copilot in the exact same way like Gemini, then facing the facts would mean you are using OpenAI. And the more you use it and the better it's integrated, the less you're using Excel. So Excel at some point is just becoming like a monitor that shows you what's currently going on. And of course, this is a big threat for Microsoft, So if they would say, okay, we're integrating Copilot everywhere perfectly. So my guess is that either Microsoft gets a very large share in OpenAI, or alternatively, they will offer different models. So just like I think Lovable does that too, and some other AI tools that are actually not depending on a specific AI company, like and a specific LLM.
Yeah, I think Microsoft is slowly starting to test out some Anthropic models.
Are they already doing
for
this?
some features? Yeah, not for the entire Copilot, but for like specific software. So
It makes
slowly-
sense. It makes sense. They will sooner or later be in trouble if they don't.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And where do you see the future for OpenAI? Because I mean, they still have this super powerful stakeholder. I don't know, 100 times bigger than them. They are slowly, I think, starting to play around with other cloud providers as well. You saw the news with Oracle, mega deals left and right. They're also trying to reduce their dependency on Microsoft, right?
I'm not really sure. I think there are two. I see two ways how OpenAI can develop, and they are both super interesting to kind of benchmark. Well, but I don't really know what's more likely. So the first hypothesis how it could work out is OpenAI is able to build the whole environment comparable to Google with Google Workspace, Maps, and all these, the whole ecosystem. That's the possibility that could happen. But I see that there are some things limiting them from really being able to do that. I think Google Maps with all these reviews and Gmail and Google Workspace and all these tools, they are quite well connected. You don't have a strong network effect. I think for Google Maps there is a strong network effect, but for the rest of the applications not so much. So this will be tricky to copy. But looking at the pace of development, so now that you have AI, developers can develop 100 times faster. So I think that the technology race isn't fully won by Microsoft or Google. So that can be one option. Alternatively, if they are not able to succeed within these, let's say, consumer B2B end user markets, if they are not able to settle in this market, then I can also imagine that their key strength becomes building the best models, and then it's more or less comparable to an electricity company that just deploys a resource that is needed to power specific applications. So when you have a manufacturing company, you need electricity. And I think this could be an alternative outcome that, I mean, you already see it in some ways. When you look at, again, Lovable is always a great, I think it's a great example because it looks like they can become really, really successful. But what you see is that Lovable is powered by these LLMs. They are not able to build these LLMs because they don't have the funding, they don't have the research team. Yeah. There's a lot missing. Yeah. And in a manufacturing company, I think it's quite the same. So as a manufacturing company, when you have a high need of electricity, you are also not the specialist for fusion power or something like that. But at the end, you probably need it. Hey everyone, do you enjoy today's episode? Hit the subscribe button and support us with your subscription. We really appreciate your support. And now let's go back to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same 10, 15 years ago with the cloud transformation, right? First, everyone had their own little server in the basement. Then to come back to your example, yeah, it didn't make sense for every little company to have their own server anymore. So they went to the big players. I guess that's somewhat shifting again now for more security reasons. They become a priority again. But I see your point of OpenAI perhaps going down fully the infrastructure road.
Yeah.
I think I saw 1 or 2 weeks ago, I saw an interesting graph in the FT of OpenAI's network of investment and deals.
That's a wild network.
So for listeners only, we're looking at a graph of OpenAI's deals in the last 2 or 3 years, and they've now topped what is the crazy number on the headline? 1 trillion, yeah. So
in funding?
in just deals. So saying, I give you this, you get that.
But like kind of investing, but also receiving.
Receiving, yeah. So for example, of course, on the left side, you see Microsoft as an investor. They also have had in the past the exclusive cloud integration, so only training on Azure. That's now slowly dissolving a little bit more. They have data center deals with Google. They have data center deals with Amazon. They design their own chips. They, of course, have the mega infrastructure contracts with NVIDIA. Stargate projects with Oracle. I think Oracle will also host or be used for training in the future. So it's just crazy. I think it seems like they are.
I really see a pattern in that.
Right, and I think the core message that people saw in the last week or 2 weeks ago was that OpenAI is kind of tying its own future to all of these big companies. So if OpenAI succeeds, everyone succeeds. But if OpenAI does badly, it might pop the bubble. How do you interpret this?
I see it slightly different. I think that OpenAI is clearly at the forefront of all these deals, for sure.
Yeah.
But looking at Anthropic, looking at Perplexity, but also when you consider Google and look at their shareholders, you will find a lot of these names.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just a way of reducing risk, because all of these companies have a strong potential at some point to fail, and they have a strong potential to grow. And they all believe that within this graph there are probably a lot of winners, and there are very likely also a lot of losers.
Mm-hmm.
And just by losing their liquidity to invest in those companies, they kind of balance all of these. Who's going to lose? Who's going to win?
Mm-hmm.
If everyone would just take care of their own business, it's very likely that there would be some companies losing everything and others winning everything. So that's just a way of balancing that.
But also a way of keeping things going, right? Of keeping the AI hype train going. If OpenAI says, for the next 5 years, I'm going to still keep buying your chips, NVIDIA. And NVIDIA says, great, then I'm going to give you 200 billion. And it's just like this circle of...
I'm not sure if... I think that's short term, that's the case. But NVIDIA is a great example. NVIDIA is well aware of the fact that OpenAI would love to have a competitor for NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm.
It would be perfect, because currently they can only buy from this one company.
Yeah, they're slowly testing out. AMD is getting closer, but still not as performing, I think.
I think that NVIDIA even invested heavily in Intel now. because they know for themselves that it would be better to have a competitor where they are shareholders than to get a competitor where they are not shareholders. So I really only see risk mitigation in this image. I think it always looks like, and it's great for producing publicity, and they use it for the media, and it's a very smart approach. I think it's only a risk reduction at the end of the day for everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Amazon invested in, I think, in all of the companies so far. Microsoft. I'm not sure if Microsoft is a shareholder of Perplexity, but Amazon is. So if you would have the chart with all of the AI companies here, then the chart would and all of the big tech firms, then the chart would probably look like, okay, everyone is invested in everyone.
So maybe final question, your personal investments, would you still invest in any of these, or do you think it's overcooked at the moment? It's too risky, or do you think we still have a long way to go?
I don't invest in stocks, so I can just take this from my gut feeling. But I think that some of these companies have a competitive advantage that is not really easy to substitute with AI. Let's take Amazon.
Yeah, who would you bet on then? If
I would bet on Amazon. I would bet on probably Google. I think Google is just in every discipline currently at the forefront. They are outperforming.
Yeah.
And they have a community. I mean, they have a strong network effect.
Definitely.
They have YouTube. The only thing they are missing is a strong social media, but taking Maps, taking YouTube, Gmail, and all of these components together, they kind of have many platforms with a network effect.
Super strong ecosystem. Yeah.
And these platforms are probably the reason why someone will succeed in the consumer market. Not sure if it's the case. What would be your investments?
I think also Google. I think yesterday I read they're also super strong in this chip technology, or like not the core chip, but like one part of think of a GPU that you could also put in a computer and play video games, but a TPU is something built just for these mathematical calculations for AI. And Google has been building these for the last 2 or 3 years by themselves with, I think, Broadcom. They're up there as well. And now they're also offering this to other companies. So they've now opened up this entire category on the side, just as a side project for their own infrastructure. As you said, super strong ecosystem of consumer products. So I think they're just the best set up at the moment, but you never know. Meta has been investing like $1 billion just on staff this year. So who knows what they're cooking. But
this is a funny side fact. When you look at the AI research teams, I have the feeling that even big tech is kind of screwed at the moment, because they know that no matter how much money they have, they belong to a handful of really good people in the field of AI research, and there are not so many.
Yeah.
And you can see them writing checks everywhere. And I'm quite sure that this is only the beginning of the war for talent within this field. But we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's super challenging if they're always switching companies, setting up new research projects, like actually getting things running and developed. I think it takes still quite a while.
And everyone knows why they succeed. So you have a research team, and they know, okay, now Google is a little bit better in this field because we tweaked the LLM algorithm in the model and whatever.
Yeah.
So of course that's valuable for their competitors. What's going to happen? They will talk about, hey, why is the model better? And next check.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in 2 months or 3 months we're gonna say, oh, Meta is killing it at the moment. So let's see.
Maybe. I think Grok is also quite good now. But Elon Musk is, as always, doing his own thing.
Yeah.
We'll see if he succeeds with that.
Nice. Okay. Thanks for the episode, Ben.
Thanks as well. Have a great day.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.